The Americans using so-called bunker busters, contained nuclear devices that put most of that burrow into the earth and put more of their radiation down into the earth. Is there any kind of are there circumstances in which the Russians, who haven't used their air force at all really in this first week, might be driven to use some kind of controlled nuclear device?
No, not limited nuclear use in Ukraine, definitely not. That's not going to happen. Nuclear weapons are really reserved for very big things. Nuclear weapons are reserved for a war, maybe not global war, but at least a large-scale war, say with NATO, for example. So yes, that would be the scenario. That said, the fact that Vladimir Putin has actually invoked nuclear weapons now twice publicly, that's really not a good sign. We've seen similar kind of cases in the past during the Cold War. There were several close brushes. So it's really kind of very bad news that we see the same kind of situation where nuclear weapons are invoked. But in this case, to warn NATO or to stay away, at least militarily, from the ongoing war. The nature of the war itself is changing.
Yeah, no, carry on with what you were saying. The nature of the war is changing.
The nature of the war is actually changing. Well, you see, Putin went in based on, in my view, mistaken actually assumption that once you send troops, they will be welcomed with open arms, at least in the east of Ukraine and the south of Ukraine. That did not happen. So there were limits on the use of firepower. As you mentioned already, that Air Force has not really been used much. They try to avoid shelling cities and so on and so forth. So try to limit kind of civilian casualties, damage to infrastructure. In the first 2-3 days, strikes were almost exclusively against military bases. And that began to change yesterday. So now it looks more like the usual kind of war, the way the war is actually fought these days. Yes, I'm looking now at the pictures of Kharkiv, and to be honest, I also think about the pictures of Idlib in Syria that the United States stormed a couple of years ago with the same effect. So yes, that's what armies do.